From Toronto studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Saamiyah Syed. Our top story tonight, 10 U.S. states have removed more than 19 million people from voter rolls between 2020 and 2022. According to a report by liberal think tank Demos, the cancelled voters account for about 8.5% of the registered U.S. electorate. The 10 states are Arizona, California, Georgia, Indiana, Louisiana, Michigan, North Carolina, Ohio, Texas, and Wisconsin. The most common reason for deletion was inactivity. The report says removing registered voters often disproportionately affects people of color, naturalized citizens, and other communities. The report comes amid ongoing efforts by Republican-controlled states to restrict voting rights. In the 2022 legislative session, state lawmakers introduced at least 43 bills that would allow or mandate problematic voter purges. At least 55 people have died in wildfires on the Hawaiian island of Maui. The fires destroyed the historic town of Lahaina, the former capital of Hawaii. They were fueled by unusually dry weather and 80-mile-per-hour winds from Hurricane Dora. U.S. President Joe Biden approved major disaster declaration for Hawaii. The wildfires are now contained. Authorities are assessing the widespread damage, displacement, and loss of life. Former Hawaii Representative Kaniela Ink called the wildfires further evidence of the climate emergency. Social media platform X, formerly known as Twitter, was fined $350,000 for delaying the production of records related to former President Donald Trump's Twitter account. Special counsel Jack Smith sought the records as part of an ongoing criminal investigation into the January 6, 2021 Capitol riot. Twitter argued the non-disclosure order accompanying the search warrant violated the First Amendment and the Stored Communications Act. The court rejected Twitter's arguments and upheld the $350,000 fine. The court found the company had abused its discretion by delaying the production of the records. A sex offender in California has been charged with a hate crime. The man, Robert Avery, allegedly shouted racial slurs in a park and threatened to shoot and bomb Muslims. He also allegedly tried to run people over in the park with his car. No one was injured. The incident occurred at Heron Landing Park in Rancho Cordova, California. A group of about 30 Muslims were gathered there. Avery, who is white, is accused of driving up to the group and making racial slurs. Less than 12 hours after the incident, Avery turned himself in to the police. He was charged with assault with a deadly weapon, criminal threats, and a hate crime. A report last year by the Institute for Social Policy and Understanding noted the number of Muslims who have experienced discrimination has remained unchanged. About 60% of Muslims surveyed said they had been discriminated against in the past half-decade, including in the past year. U.S. Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib has introduced a bill that would prohibit the inclusion of medical debt on credit or consumer reports. Medical debt is a major problem in the U.S., affecting more than 100 million people. A 2019 study estimated 66.5% of all personal bankruptcies in the U.S. between 2013 and 2016 were caused primarily by the costs associated with medical problems. Consumer advocates praised the bill as it would protect millions of Americans from being denied access to basic needs such as jobs, housing, or transportation. Tlaib's bill would exclude information about debt resulting from a medical procedure from credit reports. It also would reduce the amount of time adverse information remains on a credit report from 7 years to 4 years. This would make it easier for people to recover from financial setbacks and rebuild their credit. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken on Thursday called the release of Americans from Iranian prison a positive step. 5 U.S. citizens detained by Iran were transferred to house arrest. Several U.S. media outlets reported the decision to place the Americans under house arrest is part of a negotiated agreement between Washington and Tehran. According to reports, $6 billion of Iranian funds in South Korea subject to U.S. sanctions, and some Iranian prisoners will be released. Iran will be allowed to use the money only to purchase humanitarian aid, including food and medicine. More on why Kuwait has banned the Barbie movie comes with details after the break, so stay tuned and we'll be right back. Welcome back. Kuwait's information ministry has banned the film Barbie to protect public ethics and traditions. Alvi al-Subay, head of the ministry's film censorship committee, said the movie promulgates ideas and beliefs alien to Kuwaiti society and public order. The official Kuna news agency reported the ministry also banned the Australian horror film Talk to Me on similar grounds. Lebanon's culture minister, Mohammad Mortada, called for taking all necessary measures to ban showing Barbie as it promotes homosexuality and transsexuality. It's the first film by a solo female director to surpass the $1 billion benchmark. The film also was banned in Vietnam over a scene allegedly showing China's claimed territory in the contested South China Sea. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has blamed the American right for Canadian Muslim opposition to the inclusion of equality and LGBTQ in the curriculum. Trudeau met with members of the Muslim community at a mosque in Calgary last week. A video of that meeting has surfaced. Trudeau said the government will always stand up for the rights of LGBTQ children, even if they are LGBTQ Muslims. Muslim leaders rejected Trudeau's claims and said they will not be misled by the American right. They said it could lead to confusion and discomfort among young children and also undermine the traditional roles of mothers and fathers. Pakistan's political parties are in the process of nominating a caretaker government after President Arif Alvi dissolved parliament on the advice of Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif. The Constitution requires a caretaker government be formed 3 months before general elections. The dissolution of the National Assembly begins a 90-day countdown to parliamentary elections. However, due to the need for territorial delimitation following the latest census, elections could be delayed beyond the scheduled timeframe. The U.S. Senate passed a resolution calling on the Election Commission of Pakistan to hold elections on time, asking state institutions to help facilitate this process. The Supreme Court of India on Thursday noted the disputed state of Jammu and Kashmir became part of India after its ruler's accession in 1947. The court is hearing petitions challenging the Hindu nationalist government's revocation of the region's special status and statehood on August 5, 2019. Chief Justice Dhananjaya Yashwant Chandrachud said only limitation is whether the Indian government has the power to make laws for Jammu and Kashmir. After India and Pakistan gained independence from British rule in 1947, the Hindu king of Jammu and Kashmir, Maharaja Hari Singh, acceded to India. Senior advocate Zafar Shah, appearing on behalf of one of the petitioners, claimed the Indian government had no authority to legislate the former state. He also pointed out the special status was granted to Jammu and Kashmir because there was no merger agreement and the autonomy of the state had to be preserved. The Muslim-majority region of Kashmir is fully claimed by both Pakistan and India, but is only partially administered by each. Pakistan considers New Delhi's 2019 move illegal and has since downgraded diplomatic relations and suspended trade. The Indian Supreme Court's hearings of petitions filed by several individuals, groups, and political parties will continue until the end of this month. An international coalition of more than 35 civil rights groups have called on global news service Reuters to end its partnership with India's Asia News International. They accuse ANI of being complicit in Islamophobic reporting and the spread of propaganda by Hindu nationalists. In a letter to Reuters and its editor-in-chief Alessandro Galloni, the group cited ANI's alleged Islamophobic reporting. The Indian American Muslim Council also pointed to a recent ANI report on violence-torn Manipur that falsely accused a Muslim man of gang rape. The tweet was widely shared but later deleted after fact-checkers found fault with it. British media giant Reuters not only has a news-sharing agreement with ANI, but also has invested in the Indian news agency. The IAMC said ANI's dishonest practices have harmed the domestic and global media ecosystems. Critics say ANI's anti-Muslim bias, close ties with the Indian government, its knowingly falsifying information, and use of fabricated sources fuel hatred against Muslims in India. A boat carrying Rohingya refugees reportedly en route to Malaysia has sunk in the Bay of Bengal near Myanmar's Rakhine state. According to media reports, 45 of the 55 people on board are missing. The government-backed Rakhine Daily News reported the Rohingya left Raithdong town by boat for Malaysia. The boat sank near the city of Sittwe, the capital of Rakhine state. 8 men were found alive on a beach near Basra village. According to media reports, the boat sank due to heavy rains that caused high tides. More than 740,000 Rohingya fled Rakhine after the military cracked down on the ethnic group for more than 5 years. Of the more than 600,000 who remained in Rakhine, about 125,000 people are internally displaced, living in camps. Many Rohingya living in Rakhine often flee by boat across the Bay of Bengal to Malaysia due to economic hardship and discrimination. That's all from our Toronto studios tonight. Thank you for tuning in. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon for the latest updates. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV or visit muslimnetwork.tv. Assalamu alaikum and good night.